Yeah, completely different look from anybody that's seen him the last several years. Very, very disruptive defensively. They're flying around. Very identifiable. They're in their roles. Shay has come in and brought, I think, some of her personal playing days mentality, and then her, obviously years of experience sitting next to Coach Ariema to Vanderbilt. They're confident. They've won 4 in a row, 5 of their last 6, coming off their best game of the year. Looks different on film. Got our kids' full attention. And when you look at Jelani Cambridge leading the country in steals, that they're going to try to take it from us a whole bunch. And that's always a challenge when you go on the road, is taking care of the ball. And then you present that with a team that's built around doing just that. We've got to have a really good night to get a road win.
All right, we'll do question and a follow-up with Vandy. Paul, let her rip.
Can you talk about the fact that we talked a little bit Sunday about how maybe it was different, the fact that you didn't get to play the Ole Miss game. Well, the fact that how much do you feel like that's going to affect them having not played a league game?
Hopefully the exact same way it did us. Okay. That you have an adjustment to the physicality. Hopefully they have 5 players foul out, and just like we did. I mean, it was we talked about that big adjustment, that monumental leap. I hope they experience the exact same thing we did. Maybe they don't. I don't know. Hopefully, but it is noticeable. You feel it. It is new for them. A lot of their players they're all learning something new because they've got a new system. So I hope that's worth a point in the game. If it's worth 1 point, that'll be an advantage for us. But I think there is some of that. I don't think we were making it up. I don't think it was an excuse. I think it was just an observation. So hopefully they feel some of that too.
And I guess I'll follow with, how do you feel like what did your team learn from Sunday and that you can take going forward?
That we've got to do, our technique's got to improve. You don't get called for 29 fouls doing it the right way. So we've got to improve some techniques, still be physical, but do it with better technique. And then I think, again, we were given the opportunity to learn from a loss, that the value of every possession. We got off to a terrible start, and that, whether it's the first play of the game or that next to last one, they're all worth the same. So another valuable lesson of that. I think we did learn that now at the SEC level. And I think, again, just the speed and the physicality that comes with being in this league. It was good that we played. Maybe it was good we played Tennessee first, because it's, from this point on, it's that physical. That's the height of physicality. Like, that's what Tennessee's known for. So we'll see it with South Carolina and a few other teams, but it won't be any more physical than it was on Sunday. And hopefully we were able to make that adjustment. Tara,
go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Hey. What's practice been like since that Tennessee game?
Good. We got Saylor on campus to help us simulate with the White Squad, and Miriam out there to help us simulate. And our guys' practice players are back. So we had a really good day yesterday simulating Vanderbilt. We would have never been able to do that by ourselves because we couldn't copy the athleticism and how hard the other team played. And we played a first quarter yesterday. We were actually trying to play a simulation game, and it was 26-2 White Squad at the end of the first quarter. So hopefully that, combined with the lessons we learned, won't carry over to Thursday night. It's been intense. It was very open-minded. I think everybody came in with a list or 2 or 3 things of things they can do better to make sure that we're better prepared for our second league game than our first one.
Yeah, one of the bright spots of that game, though, was Amber Ramirez. And so I assume she's fully go. She's 100% now. Yeah.
Yeah. She was 100%. That the little time off was, I think, made her feel better. I think she feels better now. I think she's returned not only okay, but she's improved because she doesn't have the pain that she was playing with for the first, 10 games of the year. It's gone. And she played 40 minutes. So in a very, very physical game. So yeah, good look by you. Yeah, she's back.
All right, Coach, thanks.
You got it.
Christina, go ahead.
Speaking of injury updates, Emery was back last time. How is she doing? And then do you have anything on Miriam and Aaron?
Miriam is going to redshirt. Yeah, she'll redshirt for the year. I think with the timing of how deep we got into the schedule, it makes the most sense. And after talking to her family and with our doctors, that was obviously time to make the decision so that she can kind of switch gears. She can switch gears into preparing for next year rather than trying to prepare for a return right now. Emery is back. She's feeling good. She was valuable for us. I think her timing was off, having been out for a couple of weeks, but her presence was needed, and it had value to us. So it'll really help us these next several games. Aaron did practice yesterday for the first time, not contact, but was in some drills going up and down and looked really good doing that. So we're hopeful that her return is on, we don't have a target date, but we're hopeful that we start to get one of those now that we see how she's going to be how her knee's able to respond.
And then how is Sailor adjusting now that she's on campus and practicing with the team?
She lit us up yesterday. And it's a great thing for these kids. We've had one every year. We've had either Ramirez, we had Dungy that first year. It's really good to have kids in that role because they can play loose and free. Like I told her, I said, hey, you're this kid on the other team. Shoot it every time you touch it. And I mean, her eyes went, are you serious? I said, no, I'm dead serious. You better shoot it every time you touch it. And no matter where you're at, and try to post us up and try to defend us. And she's going to fit in really seamlessly. She's just like our other kids in a lot of ways, personality wise, and she loves basketball. And that's what this group has. Everybody on this team really loves basketball, and she fit in because of that. Otherwise, you stick out like a sore thumb. So she's fitting in great. She looks good in red and white. And she was beneficial in helping us prepare for Vandy for sure.
Thank you.
You got it.
Porter.
There I am. Coach, with Vandy coming in, they haven't played a league game, but you've got two common opponents. So what have you been able to use from that? I know Kansas was in a scrimmage setting, but have you been able to take anything away from what they matched up against Vanderbilt that you can use?
Yeah, that's a great question. And how we do that when there is a common opponent, we try to get clips from those games because it's really easier to assess speed and athleticism and strength because they've guarded those other kids. Like when you're just looking at a team for the first time, you don't really have a point of reference. So when you can say, okay, we guarded Belmont, we guarded Kansas, they can now get a direct correlation to that. And it's very beneficial, that they have had the common opponent. The styles of play don't, the stats and the margin of defeats and all that doesn't have as much to do with it, but it gives I think the kids a certain comfort level that they can look at the film and say, hey, well, they said that kid was 6'3". Well, standing by her, she was 6'3". This kid's not 6'3", or, this kid, I know how fast this kid was from Kansas, and this kid was faster than her. So I think it gives them a point of reference. And we try to include in their video clip package that we give them. We try to give them, if there's a common opponent, we try to put as many clips as we can find from those particular games.
And I want to ask you something about Sailor, coming from a program like UConn where she might not have had the green light, what do you think that does to her confidence coming to Arkansas? And you're giving her that confidence to be like, hey, when you get the ball, shoot it, that she carries that into next year.
I think that's why she had the look on her face like she had, was like, is he serious or is he just saying it to say it? And like Amber said, no, he's serious. You better shoot it. So I think it's going to stretch her game. I think that's what that does. And I think the beauty of that now being in a setting where it's not whether you win or lose, it's how you're preparing. I think it helps her grow her game. She played that way in high school. She was a very confident, dominating player that had the green light. So I heard her say something to one of the kids. She was really tired after she played every snap yesterday. The last 2 days, she was like, "Whoo, I hadn't had a practice like that where I've been played all 40 minutes since I was in high school." So, she's got she's got a vibrant smile. You can tell she's enjoying it, and that's fun to see on a kid.
Hey, Coach.
Hey,
Randy.
Mike, you talked about physicality. The game against Tennessee had obviously showed up. You had 5 players foul out, combine that you attempted just 11 free throws, they, meaning Tennessee, 36 free throws. How do you play physical and yet not foul? Is that something you think your players learned against Tennessee?
Yeah, it's technique. Their technique was better than ours. We looked at it on film, and they get to their spots a little quicker. They establish position a little bit earlier, and I think our kids did see that. That the foul occurred not because you were being physical. The foul occurred because they beat you to the spot. So you got to be efficient getting there. You got to establish and hold your position. They had some really strong kids. They have some very, very difficult kids to defend. But I think what we did learn, we look at it on film, it wasn't that we weren't trying. It was they did it just a little bit better than we did. They coached it a little bit better than we coached it. They executed it a little bit better than we executed it. There was some times when it was difficult to see what was a foul. Like sometimes it would be called a foul, the consistency, but you got to play through that. So I do think we've got to become a little bit more toward the first punch type people. I don't know if anybody's watching Cobra Kai, and you've seen the big deal between Cobra Kai and Eagle Fang. Strike first or play defense. I think we may have to become a strike first type situation, Randy. I think we maybe have to initiate the first contact, not the second and the third. So we'll try that out this time. And then, I think we had to foul a few times just to kind of get the game back there, but noticing too that the fouls mount up. A foul on jumping on somebody's back or hacking a kid when you're frustrated, that's really one foul. But then that makes the big difference when you're sitting on 3 or 4. So the value of a foul, you can't let your frustrations lead to a foul. It can lead to, you can be frustrated. We all get frustrated, but you can't let it lead to, a missed shot or a missed block out or something can't be compounded by a foul immediately following that. And we did that 4 times. So.
You spoke about this in the beginning. How do you put the genie in the bottle to where you get off to a good start and rather than digging yourself into a huge hole?
I take personal responsibility for that and how we start practices. I think early in the year we had a really good flow to how we started our practices. And then I think sometimes as we get closer to game time and we play more games, it becomes more scout specific. And I look back at our practice schedules that and we got off to a little slower start. We watch film first and then you stretch. And then I think that's bad for our particular group. And I didn't make that correlation, but I have now. So we're going to try to fix that. We're going to get out and we're going to, when we start practice, it's like the ball's getting tossed up. There's not a 8 to a 10 to a 15-minute warm-up period. It's go time. So I'm going to get back to that, do a better job of prepping them and making sure that when the ball's tossed up, it's go. That value is there. We got scored off on the opening tip. And that to me that's a coach thing. That's not a player thing. That's a me. That's an us thing. We didn't have them ready. So I'll take blame for it one time, but then I'm going to get it fixed. And it's going to be a different reason next time. I promise you.
Thanks, Mike.
You got it.
All right. Shifting gears, Coach, you want to talk a little bit about a good Missouri team coming in here on Sunday?
It's the team that we know better than anybody. We've played them twice every single year. All these kids. There's no need to do a personnel scout, except for our freshmen. We'll let the seniors lead it because they can ride it. They know these kids. Missouri's literally had the same team every year that we've been here too. They're all familiar faces. They got a couple of new faces, but it's the usual suspects. You know exactly what you're in for. You saw obviously that they're very deep this year. They played without their best player, and all they did that night was knock off the number 1 team in the country that was pretty much unanimous. So that didn't have to happen for our kids to have their respect because we've played so many close games. But that particular circumstance, I think will have our kids fully peaked, knowing that, it's the beautiful thing about this year in the SEC is they all feel the same. I mean, they all just feel like, man, you can win the game if you play well. You can lose the game if you don't. There's not one day you look up and go, oh, we're going to get beat or we're going to win this one easy. There's just not, this doesn't exist this year. So, but to Missouri specifically, they've got unbelievable balance. They've got a double machine in Blackwell. It's always been a problem for us because of her mismatch ability. And obviously their confidence is really, really high.
Paul, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say they're so similar because of the same personnel. So will what worked previously, you think, work against them now? Yeah,
if Robin Pinchton wasn't their coach, yeah, maybe. But she's not going to be fooled twice ever. She'll make sure anything that we did that worked will be stopped. So it's got to be a change up there. I do think in general our styles, complement. It's usually come down in our games. We talked about this during the summer recruiting. It's usually the team that plays better that day. We're pretty even. We're pretty, we can do the different things, but whoever plays better that 40 minutes is the team that's been winning it. So preparation will be big. I think, depending on where we both are coming up. Do they play? I can't keep up with who's playing where and when anymore. I just got an email a second ago about reschedules. So I think it'll largely depend on how, if they play Sunday and how we play Sunday. There's a lot of carryover there. So, but yeah, I think there's certainly some truth into what you're saying there, Paul.
Tara?
I've just got the one question. You talk about how good of a team they are. How important is it to have this game at home then?
Big, because they play well at their place. I mean, obviously you don't beat a top team, much less the top team, unless your home environment is worse some points. And they had a packed house that night. So I'm hopeful that we'll be another week down the line with COVID and our crowd will be what it has been. They've been impactful. And we've got to give them something to cheer about. We've lost our last two in there. That hasn't happened since, we've been here since a long time ago. So I hope they'll stick with us and come back and make the impact that they've made on us in the past. Because if it's worth half a point, it's value. So I'm glad the first one's here.
Thank you.
You got it.
Porter?
Coach, I just wanted to ask about the mindset of, Missouri having a big win like that. Do you think that having such a long layoff in between games has kind of helped y'all in a way that they're not just coming right off a hot win over a number one team, and then they'll play tonight or tomorrow night against Auburn. They'll have one game in between y'all. So what do you think that does for them? But yet, how do you think that helps y'all as well?
Well, speaking to them, I suspect that, I'll just go back to maybe like when we beat UConn, you dealt with it. It was good. You wanted to deal with it for as long as you could. You're hopeful you didn't have another game for a while. So I bet they've enjoyed the time in there doing that. But I also know Robin and those kids well enough to know that they'll understand that that's going to be something they talk about at the end of the year banquet. And they've moved on, started preparing for Auburn and for us. I don't think there'll be any carryover because that is a veteran team. You look at how many games those kids have started, how many minutes they've logged. I don't think they'll fall for the banana in the tailpipe trick. It'll be something different. But for us, I just think it'll be easy for us to go back and remind our kids they did that without Blackwell. So with Blackwell, I don't know how that changes you or makes you better, or it just makes you a little bit different. But it'll be easy for our kids to have their full attention. Not that they needed to do that to get it, but it'll be at a heightened stage for sure.
Randy?
Mike, it often comes down just to matchups. You got some difficult matchups, whether it's with Haley Frank or with Lauren Hansen. How do you match up in this game with Missouri?
I think we have comparable pieces. They're just not all at the same positions. I think if y'all did what the used to back in the the newspaper days where you'd put them down position by position and kind of put the logo in the middle on who wins the matchup. I used to love that. I love those little deals. It'd be interesting to see what everybody thought, because I think there's going to be some matchups you'd have a Tiger on. I think there's some matchups you'd have a Hog on. I think we each give each other some unique matchups. But yeah, Haley Frank and Blackwell off the top. And then, since Lazy Williams has been there and the way Hanson has played since transferring in, they can present you with more Tigers down the middle than Razorbacks. So I think we got to approach it as a team type deal. They may have some individual wins. We got to find a way to play a man and a half, which I think we're good at. Like Amber Ramirez, people talk about her defense because so many people think defense is stealing the ball and blocking a shot or taking a charge. But a lot of times defense is being able to guard 1.5 people, and she does a great job of that. Sometimes she guards the other half better than she does her one. And we talk openly about that. So I'm not telling y'all anything she doesn't know, but she's a really, really good team help defender. So I think even though they might win a bunch of the individual matchups, if you did a head-to-head comparison, I hope that our ability to play 1.5 sometimes might compensate for that. But I'm glad it's not I'm glad we get to play it as a team. I do think we've got a little bit of a depth advantage there, and hopefully, that starts to show up as the year goes along.
In playing a type opponent such as Missouri, is it better, Mike, to play them at home as compared to trying to take Missouri on the road at Columbia?
I think with our particular group, because we are young and our kids hadn't been to Columbia yet, yeah, it's been in your common opponents when you're going to play somebody twice every year. When you're young, I'd rather have them here at home first. So the distractions, that you might have on the road are gone. You can focus in. You're more comfortable at home. I think as your team gets older, that probably doesn't matter because she's got an older team. It's probably not going to affect Missouri very much, but I think it does help us. Sleeping in our own beds, having the same pregame meal, knowing where to park, all that stuff. That if you can eliminate losing before you get to the gym, which can happen to you on the road. There's a lot of games lost on the bus ride there or the plane ride in or the hotel stay. If you can eliminate losing before you walk through the doors, that puts everybody on an even field. So for our particular team this year, yeah. 2 years from now, when we've got the veteran team, I don't think it'll matter as much. But for this calendar year, Randy, you're spot on. It will help us.
I think it also allows you to play a little bit more physical, Mike, at home, and maybe get away with a foul or two.
You hope. Hope. Yeah. If I can get out of the way and not make anybody mad, well, which I just let the game play out. Hopefully we can get one of those calls.
BetOnline has you covered for all the holiday season. More props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your #1 spot for all sports action. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus with the promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV to receive your bonus. And it's not just football. BetOnline has pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, even your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all these amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports.